First off, I'm Simonida. I am the managing director of the UAE office for Talabat. I am brand new, and I just want to thank you for both having me on stage, as well as to thank this community for accepting me and welcoming me into the space. It's been a wonderful day today to meet all of you, and I think the beginning for me to continue to work with you. Now, on to Martin. 15 minutes, and I want to talk about a couple of things. One, I want to talk about the healthy brand. I want to talk about category. I want to talk about kitchens. I want to talk about Reef. I know you just started and you have...
You don't want to do healthy kitchens?
Combine them. Healthy kitchens, Reef, and I want to wrap it up by talking about us, meaning the aggregators and what we can do. So let's get into it. So, I came back here after being away for 10 plus years. And when I lived here in 2010, I think it was a very different environment. So the sort of health-focused lifestyle is palpable at the moment, in my mind. And the way that people order and what they eat is also changed very much. So you obviously operate some incredible brands, among which Salata is one, so just one healthy example. I would love you to talk about that segment overall, what it takes to grow it and what it takes to make it accessible to as many people as you can.
Introduction. My name is Martin. I'm the SVP of Reef Technology. And that will be enough. To answer your question, the healthy space is something that, as you said rightly, is growing exponentially year on year. What you mentioned there is the accessibility of it. What we find is a lot of the category is handled by the premium space, which is Salata, SLD bar, which are just rocket ships. But we realized very quickly that a lot of people like salads. And mainly, there's a lot of people that during the week want to feel that they're living a healthy lifestyle. With the advent of more and more people entering Dubai, we're realizing that healthy is a massive category. So we've said, right, we've got a top tier brand, Salat and SLD bar, that at the premium, but then we've got just salad out of the US that handles the middle income. Then we've got another brand that's unbelievable, which handles the tier below that. So I think it's critical that there's something for everyone.
Perfect. And on the consumer side, I think there's a long way to go. And I think the consumers push us because they're curious, they're interested. How do we make that information about what they're eating, what they're choosing, the sort of informed choice, which I like to say, it's your choice in the end as a consumer what you like, but let's make it informed. How do we best do that? And what do you think is left in the UAE in particular when it comes to that space of creating informed choice and making that easier for people?
So there's been a massive push around having calories on everything, having grammage on everything. A lot of people have downloaded NutriCount and these kind of things, so they track what they eat. But at the end of the day, as you said, people are going to eat what they want to eat. We can guide them to eating healthy, but at the end of the day, it's down to your choice. The critical thing is it's got to have a compelling story. That's what we're finding with our success story brands, is they've actually got a really compelling story behind the brand. So it's not just, it's a great product, it's great food. There's only so much you really can do with lettuce leaves and cucumbers and tomatoes, but it's the story behind it that creates a brand.
I love that. Yeah, and I think, for everything we do, we want to know the story behind us as consumers, operators, etc. Speaking about operators, I want to talk about kitchens. So kitchens is obviously a space that's booming. I think the UAE is sort of leading the way in many ways around the use of kitchens, the brands that are being born within kitchen spaces, virtual brands, etc. You have tremendous experience and would love to kind of get a little sense from you in terms of that background. But beyond that, when you look at brands operating within kitchens, what do you think that there is more to be done, leveraging that space, leveraging what we have? And then how do kitchens expand? Where do they go from where they are at this moment in time?
That's a big question. I don't know if we'll even unpack it in the next 30 minutes, but I'll try. With kitchens, it used to be around utilizing underutilized spaces. Then the market has adapted and they've gone to a little bit more data-driven and said, this is a great delivery zone. We need to put routes down here because we know it's a great commercial hub for us to make sales. That's adapting every single year and it's changing. I think you can see, if we use an example of Fox Hill, Motor City, that type of area, You can see the community is moving further down the 311 as rentals increase. So now all of a sudden, DSO has become a place that never used to be available for healthy product. Now all of a sudden, it's a place for that. So I think the big thing is you've got to be nimble and you've got to be ready to move and you've got to be able to attack the property when it's available. But there's so many players in the market. You guys have got a great kitchen platform. Your position has a great kitchen platform. There's lots of great kitchen platforms. And I think what a lot of us don't do is we don't understand the commercials of it before we jump in. We don't do great feasibility studies and understand the market. And I think more important, we don't leverage our DSP partners and say to them, look, I'm thinking of entering into this market. Can you give me some insight into what works, what doesn't work, what kind of ticket count, what's our average spend going to be? So I think a little bit more interrelation between ourselves and the DSP needs to happen to understand what property is going to work and what won't work.
Perfect. Tell me more about Reef. Obviously, you've just started. We talked a little bit earlier. You describe yourself as a fixer, rule breaker, all kinds of other ways. But tell me more how your role now fits within the Reef story and what you're trying to do, in 2024. And then let's pick maybe a moonshot, something that's bold.
So the Reef story is, I was at Reef, I left for a bit, and I've come back again. The Reef story is a super interesting story. It's one of those stories that there should be a book about it. In hyper growth, amazing things happen. And to be involved in a business in hyper growth, I think is an experience everyone needs to have at least once in their life. You know, the kind of conversations that you have where there's so much liquidity, people are really thinking about things they can do on Moon and Mars and all sorts of strange things around starting sustainable energy businesses, putting things up on all over the place. And that was hyper growth for me. It was frenetic. In a one word, it was frenetic. I think we in an industry that's still in its infancy. You know, in the greater F&B industry, our business is a microcosm. It's really quite niche. And everyone inside that industry is trying to figure out how they make money and how they become successful. Lots of people are trying different things. They're trying down the left-hand lane, down the right-hand lane, and figuring out what works for their business model. There's lots of adaptation, there's lots of change, but I think if you fail to adapt, you will die. So what's the moonshot for Reef? I think right now, just get back to really good business fundamentals. When it's all said and done, we still a food business that's underpinned by technology, and we still need to deliver a fantastic product with great KPIs underpinned behind it, because it's quite a fickle business. The minute you overrun certain times, your brand partners have a problem, your aggregator partners have a problem, and you have a problem. So I think just getting back to business fundamentals, and then what is the moonshot? There's some fantastic things coming down the road for Reef as a global business, but specifically as a MENA business. But right now, clean up, fix, run a really solid business, and be something that our brand partners can be proud of. You know, we really strong in the healthy segment, superbly strong. So probably 2 of the top 5 brands in the healthy segment sit in our portfolio, maybe even 3. We need to be a little bit more diverse in what we do. But again, diversity also comes at a cost. So we would rather say, let's be a little bit diverse, but make sure what we do have are champions and promote the champions.
You are from South Africa originally. You worked in Europe. You worked in Saudi Arabia. You worked at the UAE. And now you've taken up this new adventure in the UAE as well. I am from Europe originally. I spent a lot of time in the US. I lived here in 2010. I came back. I want to ask you about the UAE and sort of the potential you see for this space. And I mean, in particular, kitchen virtual brand space. In this moment in time, I think you mentioned sort of the population growth at the same time, while globally we have money tightening, if you will. So that frenetic growth is no longer. More intelligent, back to fundamentals growth seems to be what is driving the way, both in the F&B space, but in other spaces as well. What's your bet on the UAE, and why do you choose to stay?
When you started that line of questioning, when you said I'm from South Africa, I thought the first thing was you're going to congratulate me on the World Cup. I think everyone around here thought that as well. It wasn't just me. Amandla. So with that being said, the UAE is definitely the place to be. I think with everything that's going on in the world, it's an unbelievable safe haven here still. Is it easy to trade? I think you'd be living in a fairy tale if you thought it was. I think there'll be a tightening, like there always is when global and macroeconomics get involved. There will be a tightening, but great operators will always survive. There will always be a place for people that know what they're doing, people that respect their customer, and more importantly, people that respect their customer spend. But the greater part of that is around the relationships that need to be built to create the growth for a business like ours. And that can only happen by aligning with all your partners on the left-hand side and the right-hand side.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You know, the rate of restaurant growth and restaurant opening in this country is unlike almost anywhere else. That obviously means that the industry's, it's a difficult place to survive in, but it's one that continues to be so vibrant. So it's very much what motivates me and us. I want to close off by talking a little bit about us. And when I say us, I mean the aggregators. I am new to the space, as I mentioned, but my biggest interest is understanding what we can do better in the UAE for our partners, the people in this room, be it virtual brands or otherwise, be it brands and kitchens or otherwise. So I'm curious from your perspective, if you look at what aggregators, how they serve the market today, what are top 3 opportunities and areas that we think we could improve on?
I think the opportunities are limitless. I think the greatest challenge we have as users of the platform, and I think platform is actually the wrong word. It's a marketplace. What you guys do is a marketplace. And the quicker we as operators understand that the marketplace gives me entry to the customer, it will lead to a mindset change. And that mindset change is, for me, is a triangle of respect, which has the brand owner, the aggregator, and ourselves as the operators. And hopefully we don't stray too far into the middle, because that's where there'll be lots of problems. But I think communication and talking needs to happen. But I don't know if there's anyone in this room that utilizes their tools to its full capacity. I still use Microsoft. Maybe I'm probably a 1995 user at best. I plod with 2 fingers, but I've seen people that can make coffee with that machine. So I feel the exact same way about the DSP and the aggregators. There's so much opportunity and availability of revenue opportunities within the platform that I think we need to understand it. And I think the onus rests with you now to educate the operators, educate the restaurateurs around what opportunities there are on the platform to drive their business. Because at the end of the day, we all want the exact same thing. We want to drive revenue, cut costs, and make profits. Those 3 things will never change. It's just how our symbiotic relationship works that all 3 of us can hit those 3 targets, make profits. At the end of the day, the quicker we hold hands and figure out how we can all be successful, the better it will be. I think whilst we still sit in different camps and think, I get angry that I have to pay you your percentage. Well, that's the percentage to play. Would I love it to be less? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? But you give me the access to the customer. So now I need to figure out how to leverage that and make more money through you.
I think it's a very honest answer, Martin, and I thank you for it, because I think, you know, what it takes to win differs from platform to platform, and it's our job to continue that conversation. And I think events like these are a good starting point for that. So I wish you all the best with Reef and otherwise, and I can't wait to continue talking both at events like these and offline. So thank you, and thank you.
Thank you very much.